So welcome to this class. Last week we introduced the topic of planning, and we said that planning is one of the first functions of management. So today we are going to talk about planning tools for you to ensure that you effectively plan in your organizations. There are some tools that you need to implement, and these tools basically help managers to ensure that they are able to make better decisions. Some of those tools may include, but not limited to, the following. We have the affinity diagrams, we have the tree diagrams, interrelationship diagrams, the matrix diagrams, activity network diagrams, process decision program charts, and prioritization matrices. So let us begin with the first one. The first one is affinity diagrams. Sometimes when we talk about affinity diagrams, what comes into our mind is the relationship that this diagram is going to give. And one of the relationship depends with the type of information or activity that you are going to do. So affinity diagrams will help you to organize information according to their natural relationships. For example, you might organize activities that are similar in nature, so that when you are coming to get solutions in those complex activities, it becomes easier for you. It helps when group consensus is required and where there are many facts and ideas. So basically, you need to agree as a group on the issues that you are going to take, so that once you agree, it becomes easy to be able to implement these activities. Then it also helps to streamline processes and various issues that might affect a particular activity. Therefore, it's just a matter of trying to brainstorm amongst the groups so that at the end of the day, you can come up with a consensus. Later, I'll be able to show you how the diagram looks like. Then you shall relate to it. Then the other second one is called a tree diagram, or also called a systematic diagram. This is a diagram that assists in achievement of particular objectives through outlining various details. So basically, it helps in ensuring that at the end of the day, you are able to outline various details that are needed. And normally, I remember when we used to do, I think it was quantitative analysis, tree diagrams are very common. So it is a graphical breakdown process that are complex into smaller details. So it allows managers to be able to split complex activities into specific activities, so that at the end of the day, they'll be able to achieve those activities more easily and faster. Then the other tool that is very common is called the relationship diagram or interrelationship diagram. As the name suggests, this diagram basically helps to display and identify some of the various causes and also come up with relationship of different ideas together, so that it also helps to link more than one idea at a time. So you'll be able to understand various ideas at a time, so that you build some relationship and various solutions to various problems, so that it becomes easier for you to be able to understand what are some of the cause-effect relationship that you are going to face. And also it provides complex solutions to various issues within the organization. And this relationship will help in managers to ensure that at the end of the day, they are able to understand those relationships and can also be able to implement some of these relationships. The other one is the matrix diagram. Matrix diagram. This diagram is very common when you are dealing with projects where we have two managers. For example, we have the functional managers on the other side, and you also have the project managers. So it tries to show that relationship between the two levels of managers so that at the end of the day, it shows some level of relationship or correlation amongst those variables. So the matrix diagram also helps to identify the relationship or strength through a grid or row and columns. So we shall be able to look at that later. Then we also look at the prioritization matrices. This type of matrix is a technique that helps to rank problems in order of which should be worked on first. So basically you prioritize your problems so that those problems that are very, very urgent, you end up dealing with them in advance, or emergency activities. Therefore, based on their priorities, you can be able to put them first. Then the others that really do not have an impact on the organization, you can also decide to put them. Maybe you will work on them later. Then you also need to put numerical values in every priority that you want to take or any problem, so that this will help you to rank those priorities. And at the same time, you'll be able to understand which are some of those activities that are very urgent or important at that particular time. Then we also have what is called the process decision diagram or chart. Process decision diagram or chart. So this is a pictorial representation of some of the processes that you need to go through when you are dealing with a particular problem or issue within the organization. Therefore, it helps you to be able to come up with what is called a contingency plan. In the event plan A does not work, you already have another process for another activity, so that at any given time, you don't have issues that are going to affect you in the organization. So these tools will identify any shortcoming to a plan, assisting managers to create the appropriate measure to minimize risk. So one of these reasons is to be able to minimize risks. Remember, any level of organization experiences some level of risks. So as managers, it's upon you to come up with ways on how you are going to minimize some of these risks. And this is where now the process decision program comes in. And managers will be able to understand the processes. And by understanding the process, then it becomes easy to be able to come up with solutions to various problems that they are facing. Then you also have the other one, which is called the arrow diagram or the activity network diagram. This is very common, particularly when you're doing projects or when you want to allocate resources for a particular problem or activity or even a project, so that you exactly know the timelines that are going to take. For example, you might be having a project that you want to complete the project in December, and you start the project today. So the network diagram will help you to be able to allocate resources and the timelines, so that at the end of December, you will have completed the project, or you'll be able to understand the progress of the project. So it is very helpful in situations where the project is complex, because it will help you to schedule various critical activities, and therefore it will also help you to be able to achieve the project successfully. So let me jump into another thing. Just a minute. Any question? So I want to show you how those diagrams look like. So this is the affinity diagram. You can see where we have a problem or a problem statement. And in the problem statement, we are able to have different steps of achieving the same problem. So creating an affinity diagram, number one is to generate an idea. You need to have an idea in mind. So once you have the idea, then you can display the idea. And as you can see, we have the header one, idea, idea, idea. You also have other headers where we have different ideas. So once you display those ideas, you can be able to sort the ideas into groups so that we have different ideas and you also have different groups of ideas so that you can easily compare those ideas. So once you group those ideas or you sort them together, then you can create what is called a header card. So every idea should have a header so that you understand each idea with its specific header card. Then lastly, you can draw and finish the diagram as it's drawn here. You can be able to see that this diagram is drawn. Then secondly, we have what is called the tree diagram. So the tree diagram, as you can see, we have the first step, which is having the problem that you want to get a solution. So the problem here is employee retention. They've realized that most of the times employees are leaving that organization. Therefore, what could be the reason as to why they want to retain employees? So the first one is the financial reward. The only way they can maintain or retain employees is by having what is called financial reward. So once you have the financial reward, it means you'll be able to increase their basic salary and also any other variable pay, for example, overtime or maybe allowances. So that is one of the criteria that they can use to be able to retain employees. Then the other one is improving the working standards. They are improving the working standards. How then can they improve the working standards? Number one is to build relationships within the organization. And this relationship should be a win-win relationship for all employees and also the management. It becomes easy to be able to, just a minute. So when you want to improve the working environment, you need to build relationships within the organization. And these relationships should be win-win relationship for all the employees so that you incorporate your employees in ensuring that the relationships are healthy relationships. Then you also need to look at the physical environment. And here we are looking at where the employees are working. Is that environment good for their health? Is that environment good for everything that they are doing? So once you have that in mind, it becomes very easy to be able to improve and also retain employees. Then we also have what is called the work-life balance, where you need to create a balance between your work and your social life. Therefore, the only way you can do that is by ensuring that we have flexible working environment where you have flexi hours so that employees can be able to do their thing and they can also be able to meet their family members as they try to create that balance. Then the other thing is daycare. You can also have daycares within the job premise so that if you are a mother and you have a little child, you can also bring them on board so that during the breaks, you can also go and take care of your kid. Then you also have the other one, which is, let me see. We have interrelationship diagrams. This is a diagram that shows various relationships and how different activities can correlate and relate to each other. For example, as you can see, we have different relationships where we have the work environment here, which is related to product innovation, and which is also related to customer service, also related to technology, and also can be related to customer value and others. Customer relationship or customer value can also be related to the return on investment, and customer service can also bring return on investment. Technology is also very important in product innovation and customer value. So when you look at some of these relationships, you realize every activity plays a very critical role in the overall return on investment in the organization. Therefore, they need to come up with some of these activities so that once you have that relationship, it becomes very easy to be able to maximize your potential as a business. Then we have what is called the matrix diagram. Matrix diagram. Matrix diagram is very common, particularly when you are doing projects, where we have the matrix structure of management or a chain of command. So basically here we have two activities where we have actions to take, and you also have the goals that you want to achieve. For example, what are some of the actions you need to take? We have improved work environment. And according to them, this is a very strong relationship between the improvement work environment and the cost effectiveness. Therefore, when you increase the environment where people are working, you'll be able to reduce your cost because people will have morale to work, and this will lead to maximization. Then we also have what is called high quality, which is also very, very strong relationship between the work high quality and improved work environment. Then we also have the other ones, which is like manufacturing technology, which does not have that relationship, which is very strong. But the relationship is a medium relationship. To see. So basically, it gives some level of relationship between two different types of actions or activities that you need to take. So that once you create that relationship, it becomes easier for you as a manager to be able to understand the impact based on the various relationships that the diagram is going to give. Then we also have what is called a prioritization matrix. As the name suggests, this matrix is able to give the level of priority you need to give to particular activities. And as you can see that diagram, we have different activities, and every activity is classified as either high importance or high urgency. For example, when you look at number two, it means that these activities have, let's say, number two, it has high importance, but low urgency. So these items are not really urgent, but they are also very important. So sometimes you need to look at those activities. If something is not urgent and it's not of importance, sometimes you can decide to wait before you can do it. Then we also have number one here. When you look at number one, these are items that have high importance, and they are also high urgent. They are required urgently. So these are some of the items that you need to put priority first. Because if you don't do those items faster or activities faster, it might end up having an effect to the organization's performance. So you need to be very, very critical when it comes to setting your priorities right so that you know what are you going to achieve and what you should not achieve or you need to achieve later. Then we also have the last one, which is called the process decision program chart. Process decision program chart. This helps you to be able to understand the processes that you need to take when you are doing a particular activity, or the actions and the steps that you need to take. For example, we are talking about planning a vacation. So when you want to plan a vacation, there are some steps that you need to follow. You might be having different steps. For example, you might make a basic choice, then choose the vacation site. Then you can agree or disagree. Then the last one is start discussing the site early. Then the other process is like you can decide to make a basic choice, then choose a vacation. Then once you choose a vacation, you might have different options. For example, can't get time off work. Number two, as vacation approaches, get too busy to leave. And number three, will choose same date as everyone else. Crowds. Then you can make a choice at the end of the day. So this gives you basic activities or processes that you need to follow when you are doing a certain action, or when you want to take a certain action, where you have different possibilities that can happen. For example, the last one is saying you already have an action, you want to go for a vacation, then you can make basic research or make a choice. Then you need to choose a hotel. All hotels are already full, won't be able to find quality hotel inside. Then go to site with many hotels to choose from. So you can still decide to go to the site. And when you're in that site, you can easily choose a hotel from there. So it just gives you the basic steps you need to follow to be able to maximize. Then the last one is what is called the arrow diagram. So this gives you a series of steps that you need to do. For example, we are talking about the activity or network diagrams. Number one is need analysis. So once you have need analysis, you can decide to have what is called the configure system as number three, request for bids, purchase equipment, install system, and train the user. So that is one step you can use. You can either decide to use the upward arrow, or you can also decide to use the downward arrow. The downward arrow talks about the need analysis, training, preparation, schedule for training, install the system, and train the user. So you have two alternatives that you can use. And this is also very common when you want to implement a certain project. It will help you to be able to understand the different timelines that you need to achieve, or the duration that you need for a particular project. Maybe you want to achieve the project maybe in 3 or 4 months. So maybe you can have 1 month here, another month here, maybe half a month here, another half a month here, then 1 month. So if you add all that, it will give you 4 months to achieve what you want to achieve. The other one might have the longest route, where you can take even up to 6 months if you want to implement the same particular project using another route. So based on what you want to achieve, it becomes easy for you to achieve that. Any question? Wendy?
No question for me.
Okay. Then we have Modoni. You have a question?
No,
Modoni?
Mwalimu, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm
Ali?
okay.
Ali? Bwana Mzee Ali. Ali is saying some no question. Okay. The other thing we are going to talk about, just a minute. Is called management by objective. Management by objective. Management by objective. Management by objective. So this is a very common phenomena in most organizations where every time you hear managers say management by objective, according to your own understanding, what is management by objective? What is management by objective? Yes, Sweeney, according to your own understanding. Yes. Okay. So when we talk about management by objective, what comes into our mind is that at the end of the day, there is a goal you want to achieve as a manager. So management by objective, according to Mullins, 2005, is a style or a system of management which attempts to relate the organizational goals to individual performance and the development through involvement of all levels of management. So for you to be able to achieve management by objective, you need to involve all the levels of management. And remember, earlier we talked about the various levels of management. And one of the level of management we said was the strategic level of management, where the top managers or the executives are the ones who are in this level of management. Then the second one, we talked about the business level management, where we said this is the tactical level, where most policies are normally implemented, or they are shared down to the operational level management, where these are the people who actualize some of these policies that have been made. Therefore, once you understand your organizational goals and you try to incorporate individuals in those goals, at the end of the day, you'll be able to achieve more by just incorporating some of those organizational goals. So the underlying basis of this system of management by objective is, number one, is setting objectives and targets. At the end of the day, you have the objectives that you want to achieve. So you need to understand what exactly do you need to achieve as an organization. For example, if you are working for a particular organization and that organization is a manufacturing organization, you already know from the onset what you need to achieve as a manufacturing firm. So it becomes easier for you to be able to organize some of these organizational objectives. So once you have the objectives on board, the next stage is basically to understand what do you want to achieve or target at the end of the year. Do you want to increase your sales? Do you want to ensure that you have a big market share? So based on what you want to achieve, it becomes easy to set some of these objectives or goals. Then the other one is participation by individual managers in agreeing unit objectives and the criteria for performance. So remember, every department has managers. For example, if you're in procurement, there's a manager in procurement, there's a manager in marketing. So those departments are normally referred to as units in organizations. So you as a manager in that unit, you need to agree what exactly do we need to achieve in this unit. If you're in procurement, what do you need to achieve in procurement? So once you have that you want to achieve, you can easily come up with a criteria for achieving what you want to achieve at the end of the day. This will help you a great deal because the criteria will form the basis of the various parameters that you are going to check in order to tick your boxes right. So that once you have the criteria, it becomes very easy to know or to understand whether you have achieved what you wanted to achieve or you have not achieved what you wanted to achieve. Then the other thing that is very common is the continual review and appraisal result. So this calls for constant monitoring of your various activities or objectives. And one of the reasons of doing this is to be able to understand whether you have achieved what you want to achieve, or you need to review some of the processes that will help you to achieve what you want to achieve. The other thing about appraisal is basically once you realize that what you put in place did not actually achieve what you wanted to achieve, you can easily appraise the result. And the essence of appraising basically is a one-on-one interaction with some of the people who have been given the responsibility to achieve these activities. So appraisal is very critical, and most organizations have been able to come up with a framework of appraising their employees. But some of these appraisal processes are normally not good because of the feelings, the personal feelings that they have. Some of these managers normally are driven by their emotions, so that they might end up not appraising you correctly based on how they feel about you. Management by objective involves continuous cycle of interrelated activities. So we have different activities that are related with each other, but the main focus here is to be able to maximize those activities so that you can achieve your goals in the best way possible. And by talking about interrelated activities, these are activities that might seem similar in nature, and you're trying to merge these activities together so that you can maximize. Then we have what is called the clarification of organization goals and objectives. For you to be able to achieve all this, you need to be very clear in some of the goals that you want to achieve. And by clarity, it means you need also to communicate to members so that they know from the onset what is expected of them. Then you also need to review your organization structure. Remember, every organization has a structure, and a structure basically is a chain of command that you want to, for example, who should report to who and at what time. So this structure should be a structure that is very flexible so that you don't create barriers in organizations. We have some managers who you can't even see them because of the barrier that they have put to their employees. And this is a very dangerous strategy. You need to be open so that you have people who will be eager to share what they know or the ideas that they have once you have what is called the open door policy as a manager. Then the other thing is participation with subordinates in order to gain their willing or acceptance of objectives and targets. So at the end of the day, you need to ensure that you bring your subordinates on board so that once you incorporate them on board, they'll be able to build confidence and also play their role to ensure that at the end of the day, they'll maximize the performance within the organization. Then the other thing is agreement on performance improvement plans. So you need to agree. In the event we have performance improvement plans, the PIP, you need basically to agree with your subordinates so that the PIP is not for purposes of discriminating employees, but basically to improve their performance. So that at the end of the day, when you put somebody in the PIP plan, make sure you tell the person exactly what they need to do so that somebody does not feel discriminated or biased in a way. Then you need to establish an efficient monitoring and review system for appraising the progress of employees. And that is why we always say you need to come up with various parameters or factors you need to check during your evaluation or appraisal, so that you don't appraise your employees on one parameter and you want to assume that that parameter will form the basis of your decision whether to promote the employee or not promote the employee. And that is why when you go to complex organizations that have implemented some of these parameters, they have come up with systems that will help you to appraise the employees. For example, if you're in Safaricom and you're in the sales department, they can easily pull out your data and try to analyze in the year, in the mid-year, what was your achievement? What were you able to do? What did you do unique that made you stand out? So basically, they will try to analyze based on different parameters. How did you treat your customers? In terms of satisfaction, maybe you can give some customers a survey after the service. They normally fill some feedback forms. So what were some of the feedback that customers gave? So based on that, it can be easy to appraise sales employees and other employees in different areas. For example, if you're in human resource, they can also have their own parameters of checking your performance. And these parameters should be similar to every employee so that at the end of the day, you can rank the employees based on their performance and give them what they deserve. Then the other thing is undertaking any necessary revision to or restatement of subordinates, objectives, and target. You can easily review what you want to review and make necessary changes that will help you to achieve your objective at the end of the day. Then the other thing is review of organizational performance against stated goals and objective. You can also review your performance so that at the end of the day, it becomes easy to achieve what you want to achieve.